Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this month's Connect with Control M. Today we'll be discussing the new features provided in the last version of Control M for SAP version 8. My name is Javier Núñez, and I am a lead technical support analyst at BMC Software. I support Control M products for distributed systems in Europe. Many of our customers have installed Control M for SAP version 8. Are you one of those customers? Are you aware of the new enhancements and improvements provided in this new version? In following next 20 minutes, we are going through all these topics that will help you to get the most of this product. I would like to introduce today's panelists, Niv and Froilan. If you have any question at any time of this presentation, please feel free to enter them in the Q&A panel. We will cover them at the end of the session. Finally, you can save this presentation by going to File and Save. This is the agenda of this session. We'll start by seeing an overview of the architecture, followed by the new features and enhancements. We'll continue with a demo. Briefly, we'll discuss about troubleshooting, and we'll finish with our Q&A section. Let's check the architecture now. Before reviewing the new features and enhancements in this version, I would like to start with a reminder about the Control M for SAP architecture, which was provided a while ago in a previous webinar covering version 7. The basics of the product has not changed comparing to previous version. Like any other control modules, this product is installed on top of any supported Control M agent version, and using the Java library provided by SAP called GCO, the product interacts with the SAP system using one of the two methods supported. The first is using the standard APIs provided by SAP in the XBP interface. Or alternatively, it's possible to work with the Control M function modules included with our product, which requires to be loaded in the SAP system server. Let's move to the new features now. Control M for SAP version 8 is the only version officially certified by SAP for XBP3. This process of certification also included the renewal of XBP2 certification we had already. XBP3 provides extended capabilities, as we'll see in the following slides. Temporary variants is one of the main new features of Control M for SAP version 8 and requires XBP3. A temporary variant is a variant that is created during the job execution and is deleted from SAP once the job is removed from SAP transaction SM37. This new feature reduces the overhead in maintaining many copies of the same variant of the SAP system. Now, with Control M for SAP version 8, the users can choose between regular variants and temporary variants. Later on this session, we'll do a demonstration on this new feature. Starting with version 8, for every single SAP job executed from this module, a job trace log is created, which contains the API executions and the job lifecycle. This is really helpful for troubleshooting, as it's much easier to see when the API calls are started, when are ended, and if there's any error coming from the SAP server. We discussed the new features. Let's see the enhancements now. XBP3 allows us to improve the interception and event history profiles management feature. In version 7, we can just get a list of interception profiles and set the active profile. Now, with version 8, this management feature has been extended and does not longer need to update anything in the SAP system. All can be done from Control M. Users can now create, delete, and update profiles, as well as setting a profile to be active. Quick reminder, this feature is only available if the SAP connection profile and the SAP system are both set to XBP3. Let's talk about the command line utility CTMR3rec. This utility has been improved in version 8, and new options were added. We listened to our customers who wanted to check the account status in batch mode, and now this is available. With this new option added, it's no longer required to validate the SAP account manually from the Controlling Configuration Manager, the CCM, and you can check it in batch mode and run it within a job, in example. Furthermore, we added other options like create a variant on SAP or get the jobs pulled from SAP, allowing to choose different spools from different steps, or even get the list of all jobs in SAP in interception status. In regards to the installation process, we got some improvements in this area. Now it's possible to install Control M for SAP on top of a Control M agent that was installed natively in 64 bits mode. This prevents the need of the 32 system libraries in the Linux systems. The installation of the SAP plugins on the Control M Enterprise Manager has been redesigned completely, and it has the same look and feel as the rest of core products aligned with the Control M standards. And we got more. In example, now we support Windows 2012 servers and increase the length of the variant names up to 152 characters, which was demanded by our customers. Now, in the output of the command sapcmve.sh status, we are able to know if the extractor process is running. All the items discussed till now and more can be found in the release notes of the product available in our support website. Now, let's move to the demo. Here, we will review all the topics discussed previously, like temporary variants, the new logs created per job. We'll see some of the new options added to the command line utility, CTMR3rec, and we'll see how the interception and event profiles work. So let me share my desktop and go to my environment. Okay, so here in my test environment, I have two jobs defined, two R3 jobs defined, one using a normal variant and another one using the new feature we discussed called temporary variants. Let's check the details first and we'll run it afterwards. If we open the details of the standard variant and check the properties, here I can see that in the variant name I'm using a variant existing in my SAP system. This is a normal variant. Now, if I open my second job and open the properties, when I edit the program details, here you can see I selected temporary variant, and here I can define what values I want to run this job with this variant. So let's run these jobs and let's see the output. Okay. Now let's go to the monitoring domain. Okay. It will take 1 minute to complete. In the meantime, remember that the variants are like variables existing in my SAP system that can be used to when running SAP programs. The benefit of the temporary variants is that it prevents the overhead of maintaining many copies of the same variant. So whenever this job is removed from the transaction SM37, that temporary variant will be removed, and the admin will not need to delete that copies of the variant. If let's check the output of the job running the temporary variant, and here I can clearly see it's using a temporary variant, here I can see the values I use it to run my job. And even, if needed, I have the identifier of the temporary variant in case that I want to check it in my SAP system. For instance, if I check the output of a normal variant, clearly I see that it's not using a temporary variant, it's using a standard variant. Okay, let's move on, and if you remember, we discussed about the new log that is created in V8. So now for every single job that we execute in this module, in the directory job trace, a unique log will be created for that job. If we open the details, here we can see very clearly all the different APIs that we executed against the SAP system, when this started and when this ended. In the event that there's any problem in the SAP system, we'll clearly see the error in these logs. So it's really helpful while troubleshooting. Moving on, and if remember, we discussed about the command line utility CTM R3rec. And we added few options. I wanted to show you a couple of them. The first one is how to validate an account. If remember, up to V8, we had to validate the accounts from the configuration manager, from the accounts utility. This was the only way to validate it. Now with V8 and using this command line, using in the action check account, now I'll be able to see if my account connects successfully. So if required, you can add it or run it from within a job. Also, let me show you one more option. With this option, we are able to see the spool of an SAP job existing in my SAP server. And by providing the specific job count and the job name, I'll be able to see the spool of that job without the need to go to my SAP system. In this case, this is my job. I want to check the spool. In this case, in my job, I only have one step. In the event that you have different steps for that job, you will be able to select what step you would like to see the spool. Right? So I have, if I select the option 1, I get the spool of my job can exist in my SAP system. Okay? Let's move on. And we discussed about the profiles, interception, and the SAP event management profiles. And V8 and XBP3 allow us to extend this feature up to version 8 with version 7 and XBP2. Let me load an account with XBP2 to show you. With XBP2, when loading the definition in my SAP systems, please note the name of this tab. In this case, it's called SAP intercepting criteria. If I load the criteria defined in my SAP system, with XBP2, I was only able to define my criteria based on the job name and the user of the SAP system. And what this interception criteria means is that any job that tries to be executed in the SAP system, which match this criteria, in this case, any job with a name Javier and submitted by the SAP user NIF1 will go into the intercepted status in order to be managed by an scheduler, in this case Control M, right? So now with XBP3, and let me load another account with XBP3. Remember the name of this tab. You will notice there's a difference. And with that XBP3, we have now the intercepting profiles. And this allows us to extend this feature that from now going forward, we do not longer need to do any change in my SAP system to do any change in the intercepting profiles. Let me show you an example. This is one of the profiles existing in my SAP system. And here I'm defining that any job with name NIF will go into intercepted status. But as we discussed, we can now extend this definition and intercept not only based in the job name and the user, but also in the client and job class, right? And even you can set what intercepted profile is active. So this, what we have discussed, affect to the SAP system. So what to do with those jobs that are in intercepted status? Here in the CTN intercepting rules, I'm defining what Control M is going to do with those jobs. So I'm saying that any job with name demo in the SAP system with executed with any username will be intercepted and submitted in Control M using this job name template existing in this folder name. This template job name and folder should exist in my Control M. So let's make a test. And if I go to my SAP system and go to the transaction SM37, let me open my jobs. And in this case, let me do a copy of one of my finished jobs in SAP. Let me show those in scheduled status as well. And now I'm going to execute this job directly in SAP. If I try to release it, you can see that it goes into intercepted status. And if I go into Control M based on my definition, it has been intercepted and submitted in Control M. You can see the same job name, right? Now, we covered the structure management. Let's talk about the event watcher management. And like in the case in the structure, the management of the profile was extended as well. And let me define one with XBP3. And like with the structure, I can fully control from Control N without the need of my SAP admin to do any change in the SAP system. So here I have a profile loaded from my SAP system, which states that those events with name, with event parameter Javier can be triggered in my SAP system. I can set this profile as active and what to do with that event. Now what I have in my definition is the event watcher is going to watch in my SAP system any event with the ID webinar and with the parameter name Javier. And whenever it will find it, it will order a job using the job template, SAP event, and existing in my folder SAP event as well. Okay, so let's go back again to our SAP system. And if I move to the transaction SM64, this is the event history table, and I'm going to trigger a new event that is going to be intercepted by Control M. If I add the value that exactly Control M is expecting, if I go to the event history table and refresh, here is my new event that, based in my definition, we will see a new job that will be submitted in the Control M. In a few seconds, we'll see that job. Remember, this is only available supported by XBP3, the support of the profiles. Okay, this is the end of the demo. Let's go back to the presentation, and let's talk about troubleshooting. And as discussed earlier with version 8, we have a new log for every job executed called Jobtrace log. And depending on the patch level maintenance, this log is stored in different places. Up to patch 008 are created in the temp directory of the Control M agent installation. And since patch 009, these logs are stored in the directory CMSAP Jobtrace. Also in the product directory, you will find the default log created by this module, where you will find any connectivity problem with SAP or further details like the API calls executed against SAP with all the parameters used if the debug is enabled. Remember to raise the debug on this product. You just need to raise the debug in the Control M agent with the command agdbglbl4. If additionally we suspect might be an issue in our SAP server, it's possible to raise also the debug not only on the product but also adding the SAP traces. Please be careful, as these create big files which may cause a file system full. Last but not least, please remember the best practice when upgrading or perform any new install. Please ensure to apply latest maintenance level. This will prevent you encounter any of the bugs fixed already. You can find this maintenance in our EPD or in our FTP server. If you subscribe to our support proactive notification, you will be receiving notifications via email with the latest news. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to attend. I hope the information provided was useful. You will be receiving a survey as you close the webinar. We encourage you to fill out and provide feedback on where we can improve and any feature topics you would like to see. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Our past webinars can be viewed in the BMC Communities, YouTube, and iTunes. Today's webinar will be posted there in a couple of days. Our next webinar topic will be scheduling jobs using calendars and smart folders. We also suggest to visit our BMC Community site to get connected with other users, view webinars, post questions, and search for answers. BMC Communities is on the bmc.com homepage or can be accessed at communities.bmc.com.